Hey everybody, hope you're all doing good. Just time for another YouTube video here. I've been doing most of them here lately on questions that I've been getting from my subscribers, and been getting some really good questions that I'd like to share with everybody, because I think it may help everybody out at some point in their fishing. But latest question I got is from one of my subscribers. Is they wanted to know, what do you have to do to be more consistent on the water? And this is a great question, because you never stop asking that question. Even when you get, when you start fishing professionally, the top anglers in the sport are always, striving for consistency. But there are some things that you can do with that too, and a lot of it depends on what your goals are in fishing. Do you want to, are you tournament fishing, or are you just fun fishing and want to become a better angler? So I'll sort of gear it towards both of that. The first thing that you have to remember about consistency is having the ability to adapt, because unless you have the ability to adapt to the changing conditions, which the conditions are always changing, it's hard to be consistent. Obviously, everybody would like for, if you have one day where you're catching them real good, the conditions just stay the same. But most of the time, if you're having a good day on the water and you're catching a lot of fish, particularly big fish, you can pretty much guarantee something's getting ready to change, because there's a reason those fish are biting above normal, is there's fixing to be some type of a weather change. So learning to adapt to environmental changes is critical. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about not only weather conditions, but lake conditions, as far as, if the lake gets flooded out, or if the lake's going through a drought, or fishing pressure. There's a lot of variables to it. You've got like I said, not only the weather conditions, but you've got a bunch of other controlled and uncontrolled variables that will determine your consistency and your ability to adapt. The best way to learn how to adapt, which equals your consistency, comes from experience and time on the water. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want to, all the tournament videos, and you can learn a lot from that, but nothing beats time on the water, to where you can reference stuff from past experiences. So, spend as much time as you can out there. The more time you spend on the water, the more you're going to be able to make those adaptations. But a good rule of thumb on this is if you go out and you're trying something, whether it's working or not, I sort of give it like the 15-minute rule. If I'm in an area that has, a lot of the right type of cover, and, I fish a particular bait or color for 15, maybe 20 minutes and don't get a bite, I'm making a change. I'll make a change, a color change, a weight change, angle of presentation change, something, to just try to, figure out what those fish are doing. And that's the whole key, is you want to figure out what the mood and the personality of that fish is, in order to make those adaptations. Now, the thing about that is there's a fine line between being versatile and adapting to the conditions, and making a commitment to something that you feel is going to produce better fish. Because, for example, a lot of times the winning pattern in a tournament is not necessarily the best pattern. They may be getting, 5 or 6 bites a day all day long, but they're good fish. Whereas somebody else may be catching 25 a day, and they finish in the top 20 in the tournament. And so both people are successful, but so you sort of have to, set your expectations on that. But, the best thing you can do for consistency is try to make yourself a versatile angler. Try to get good at a little bit of everything. If your finesse game is weak, like your drop shot, shaky heads, all that type of stuff, wacky worms, spend some time doing it. Go to the lake. Don't take anything but that to the lake. If your jerkbait game's weak, take nothing but jerkbaits to the lake and spend all day long until you figure it out. Once you get confident in a lot of different techniques, that will give you an arsenal to make those changes on the fly on the water without hesitation. And you become more comfortable doing that. And adaptation and versatility equals consistency. Also, the people that are most consistent are the people that don't you know, swing for the fences. You hear that all the time. Some guys say, well, I'm just going to swing for the fence. And most of the time when you swing for the fence, you're going to strike out in bass fishing. I can guarantee you that. Very few times it'll work. I mean, most of the time, when you say you're swinging for the fences, this is the times that I have done well swinging for the fences are the times that I went out and right off the bat in the morning, I caught a couple big fish or a couple really quality fish on a certain technique, and I stayed with that technique all day long because I knew I only needed a couple more bites to have a big bag. And even though I knew I probably wasn't going to get a lot of bites, I stayed with it. But most of the time, you know, if you started out throwing a big swim bait, swinging for the fence, and it's noon and you haven't had a bite yet, odds are you're not going to get any more bites if you haven't picked up a few by 12 o'clock or so. But that's the whole thing right there. It's just like consistency is rooted in versatility and the ability to know when to change and when to stay with the technique. Not only with the technique, but the area. That you got to know when to stay and when to leave. And knowing when to stay and when to leave and knowing when to put one rod down and pick up another rod, it's just a matter of time on the water and experience. So my advice to you as far as the consistency goes, just work on your versatility. It'll make you more comfortable with adapting to the conditions. Try to spend as much time on the water as you can and supplement that by videos like this on YouTube or tournament type videos, and you can learn a lot there. So anyway, keep the questions coming. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I really appreciate everybody that's subscribing to my channel. If you haven't had a chance to do it, just go on there and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, to have those subscribers. And like I said, I'm having a pretty good time doing this. It's pretty fun. So keep those questions coming, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you. Bye.